I'm Tori and this is my model Meg, and I'm going to be showing you the queen braid. So the queen braid is one of our most commonly requested braids. It's perfect for proms, for weddings, and honestly I've seen some girls rock this for date night really. My top 3 tips for this braid: number 1, pancaking. We love to see those big fluffy sections, so the more pancaking the better. My second tip is making sure all bobby pins are hidden, that you see no bobby pins from any angle of the braid. You want to walk around, know that anywhere your client is seen, that our bobby pins are hidden. And then my last tip is to make sure that your braid has almost that swooping diagonal motion so that we don't have any ears out. We know that the braid is laying low enough on the head that it's not looking like a halo. And that's how to create a beautiful queen braid. So the first step of the queen braid is sectioning. So I'm gonna start off by asking Meg here if she'd like some hair down near her face or if she prefers it more pulled back out of her face.
I like some pieces down, please.
Wonderful. So I'm gonna grab my comb. The first thing I do with this braid is I try to establish a diagonal line. And this is going to kind of be our center point of braiding. So I could kind of decide if I want to leave a heavier amount of hair out. This is about how much I would leave. And if I wanted to do something a little bit lighter, I would just go through until I kind of got my desired amount of hair out. I do like the heavier look, so I'm going to go for this today. And then I'm going to clip back the hair near her face with these little pin clips. And then we're ready to start braiding. I start out with my nice triangular section, split it into 3, and then just Dutch braid as usual. With the queen braid, we love to see big pancaking with it. So after a couple passes, I'm going to stop, apply a little bit of product, and pancake. I'll show you what that looks like in just a sec. I have a couple passes in, so I'm going to grab a little bit of product. I like to do the puff me. Comes out quite a bit, we'll tap it in. Sometimes if it comes out a lot, I'll use a little bit of hairspray in the moment just to kind of make the whiteness go away. And then we'll just start pancaking. And this is something you'll do every few passes. This is how we get our braids nice and big. And then you will continue on braiding again. One thing to keep in mind is the back section. You want to make sure that we're not over pulling hair. We want to make sure that the hair we're pulling is right down from where it's growing on the scalp, that we're not taking hair from the back and pulling it forward. This will also help if a client had thinner hair in the back. I like to make sure at a certain point I have all my hair going back so that I know that we can get that covered. Make sure that you're not leaving any kind of bald sections out near their ear. A lot of people prefer their ear to be definitely covered, so we want to make sure there's still a good amount of hair there. I'm going to stop again and do some pancaking. Again, we're gonna pancake really, really big. And if we ever get a little hole like that in the pancaking, you can just kind of reach in and pancake a little more from the inside. So you'll see sometimes when you pancake, you will get one of those little holes. You'll just fill it in with that interior hair. That's why we're always grabbing from the outside for pancaking. You can always go back and pancake some of the ones that you've done before to keep it cohesive and even. You'll see sometimes by pancaking one side, maybe you want to go back and pancake the other a little bit. And now as we're like getting towards the back area, I really want to take note of my client's hair. There's a couple things you want to watch out for. Sometimes a client might have really thin hair in the back. If they have really thin hair, sometimes you want to, if it's super, super thin, take smaller sections to kind of cover, and then you'll be able to fluff some of the hair around it. On the other hand, if they have really, really thick hair, you want to avoid taking really big sections. If they have, like Meg has a good amount of hair, pretty average, not too thick, not too thin. So I can take a very normal section chunk there, but if someone had really, really thick hair, your braid here is gonna start to get really thick and it's gonna be really hard to pin back when we get to the ending. Something you can start to look to do now as well is pancake some of the hair that's not in the braid. So to pancake some of the hair that's not in the braid, I like to use the dry texture Puff Me. And I'll kind of go in and pull at some of the pieces there to lift this off of her scalp a little bit, make it look a little more volumized. And then I'm also gonna do my regular pancaking. It's been a few passes. Wonderful. I'm gonna do the last couple pieces here. I'm just going to keep braiding down. I'm gonna loosely tie it off, probably only 2 times there. Again, we're gonna grab a little more of the Puff Me and pancake this last section out. Like I said, you can always go back to even out some of the pancaking so that it makes sense for the pieces around it. And this is more than enough braid at the bottom here. I might not even end up using all of that, but for right now, I'm going to do on the light setting, I'm just gonna add a little bit of hairspray for any pieces sticking out. And we are done with the first side. Next, I'm going to move Meg and work on the other side. So the second side is going to be just the same as the first. Just keep in mind if you did a little bit of an off-center part as we did on Meg, that we want to make sure that we have a good amount of hair to kind of match what we have on the other side. Otherwise, everything else will be the same. Now that we have both sides done, we're going to work on the back. So the reason that I keep them long, I like to try them out both ways. So this is kind of what it looks like if they lay this way. And this is what it looks like if they lay this way. The main thing I'm looking for is this piece in the middle. How is it looking? So right here, we're kind of seeing a hole, don't love it. If I move it like this, now it looks very blended. I know I can do a little bit of slight pancaking to that root area and we'll have a really nice finished braid here. So what I do is as they're laying here, I kind of see the areas that they should intersect. So what I like to do first is the one that's underneath. I'm going to see, I want it to lay about here. So I try to make a little bit of a hole in between this braid. I take the tail that I have and I bring the tail through. It will look good eventually, I promise. And then we're gonna do the same thing on this other side here. I want it to go about right here. So I'm gonna grab the tail, bring it through. And now that they're together, you can kind of pull them about a little bit, decide how you want them to lay. This is the time where I kind of do a little bit of pancaking in this area as well to get this laying exactly how I want it to look. My next step is I'm going to take this out, and this looks especially nice if they have their hair curled or waved like Meg does. Grab a few bobby pins, and I'm going to fan it out so that it's super blended, and in a few spots, take the bobby pin and push it upwards. I'm gonna do this in a few spots so that this area here doesn't look chunky and that I have the hair well divided. If someone has very, very thick hair, I'll even bring some of this almost underneath the braid so that it doesn't end up looking chunky in any area for them. I also like to, around the area that they intersect, stick one right about there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm gonna take the elastic out. I'm gonna start pinning again. And like I said, depending on the person's hair, I might pin a little bit underneath the braid so that we look like we got a more voluminous section down here. She has like a little bit of a dark root here, so something I might try to do is kind of pin some of this highlighted part in that area so that it looks a little bit more blended. I'll then play around with a little bit of pancaking. This is like my final touch time. I make sure everything is pancaked just the way I want it. We're super even all about. I pancake up here to give a little bit extra volume to this hair by the root. Something to keep in mind when you're doing it is it could make your braid a little bit smaller in a certain section. So you may want to go back and just pancake a few areas once or twice more to make sure you're super happy with it. The very last step, I'm gonna spray a little bit of hairspray. I usually opt for the light setting so that nothing feels crispy on you. And then when you're done with that, it's time to remove those curl clips that we put in the beginning. And there she is, a queen.